Hello and welcome to Entirely English, the online English school and the YouTube channel that aims to help people understand the British culture as well as the language. As we've mentioned before, language is very firmly and deeply rooted in the culture of a country. Any language, I believe, certainly the English. And one of the things that we have in our language are phrases from Greek mythology, which is what we're looking at today. This could be classed as something like a Sisyphean task. So that's the first one we're going to look at, a Sisyphean task. Sisyphus was cursed to eternally roll a giant boulder up a hill just for it to roll down again. And he had to go back to the bottom of the hill and roll it up again. So the Sisyphean task in English is one that has no completion. We cannot see the point of it. We keep putting in a lot of effort, a lot of determination, but there's no end result. A little bit like me with these videos. Logically, Sisyphus had time while the boulder was rolling down the hill to catch his breath, relax, maybe pick up some sticks or bricks that he could put under the boulder to stop it rolling down, but apparently he never thought of that. So maybe with a Sisyphean task, there is a chance that you just overlook a way of making something a success. But it is a task in the use of the language that means something that has no result, no discernible outcome. And we could call it a waste of time, but we keep doing it. And they can be Herculean tasks. Hercules, or Heracles in the Greek, Hercules in the Roman. I prefer to say Hercules because I think that was the first name I learned. But a Herculean task works for both the Greek and the Roman, is a task which is mighty, huge, difficult, but not impossible, unlike the Sisyphean one. So you can read about the tasks of Hercules. He had to slay the Nemean lion. He had to slay a hydra and a giant bull, and he had to steal various things. They're very difficult tasks. When you look at the list, there's lots of stealing and lots of killing involved. But a Herculean task is one that takes a great deal of effort. Like it's a Herculean task trying to solve the country's economic problems. And again, I suppose a lot of these, because the Greeks are the cradle of democracy and world culture, a lot of these gods and the sayings that are linked to them will probably appear in every language, certainly every European language. So I hope by looking at these, I'm not opening a Pandora's box. Pandora was a lady who was very blessed by the gods, given great beauty and great wisdom and so forth. And she was also given a box she was told never to open. And of course she did. And when she opened the box, all the evils of the world were released to flood the world. And the only thing left in the box was hope. So when we talk about opening a Pandora's box, we're talking about doing something that could cause great deals of problems, great deal of suffering. Maybe it's just a subject, don't mention the election because you'll be opening a Pandora's box. In other words, everybody will get involved and there'll be arguments and disputes. So a Pandora's box, something that can cause troubles that you don't foresee. And then if you do that, you could be caught between a rock and a hard place. Very common phrase we use, means to be in a difficult situation where there's no way out. Either direction you go in, you're going to be in trouble. This comes from the tale of Odysseus and his adventures. He is warned that he has two paths to choose from. On the one path, he would have to face Scylla, a six-headed monstrous beast, which gobbled men up as if they were toffees. And on the other path, he would have to face the sand whirlpool, Charybdis, which would suck him and his men down into the earth. So whichever way he went, he was going to face big trouble. and we use it that way these days. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Something impossible to break through and something that gives us no freedom. Whichever choice I make, I'm in trouble. And linked to Odysseus, we have the word Odyssey, which means a great adventure or a long story. So you could tell somebody the story of your holiday. You could tell them the Odyssey, like the troubles you went through, the places you visited, your successes, your defeats. These are part of your Odyssey. But while you're telling your story, you don't want to be narcissistic. It's another Greek word that has come into our language, narcissistic. Narcissus was a foolish young boy who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool. So when you're narcissistic, you are very much in love with yourself. And those sort of people will bore everybody else to death by telling them stories of their great adventures.
We done it!
It's a very narcissistic thing to do. Much better to tantalize somebody. The word tantalize comes from Tantalus. He was a Greek character who was condemned to be in hell, constantly suffering from thirst and hunger, while standing in a pool of water with branches of a fruit tree above his head, but he could reach neither. So when you tantalize somebody, you are sort of tempting them, you're luring them in with some information. You'd say, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened on my holiday. That's a tantalizing statement. It makes the other person interested. And when you tell your stories, you don't want to be accused of being a Cassandra. Cassandra was the priestess to Athena in ancient Troy. And she warned the Trojans not to take in the wooden horse, but they did not listen to her. So to be a Cassandra is to be somebody who tells the truth and nobody believes you. A Cassandra complex, in fact. Which links us into the Trojan horse. If something is a Trojan horse or Trojan, it means it is something that has some evil or some very harmful thing connected to it, hidden inside it. Hence why some viruses are called Trojans. You download them and then they open up and release viral components into your computer. And from that also we have the phrase, never trust a Greek bearing gifts. This is not an insult to Greeks. It's about the Trojan War. And it means if somebody's offering you something for nothing, be very suspicious of it. But maybe you don't need to worry. Maybe you have the Midas touch. Now, King Midas was granted the power to turn anything he touched into gold, which sounds like a great blessing until you start touching things that you don't want to be turned into gold, like your food, your children. It can be a curse, but we often use it in the positive when we say, Richard Branson has the Midas touch. Every business he starts becomes a success. Okay, Richard Branson, not every business. Virgin Brides apparently was a terrible disaster.
There are a few launches you've done where the brand maybe hasn't worked quite as well. I mean, Virgin Brides? What happened there?
We couldn't find any customers.
But you get the idea. This person is successful. They have the Midas touch. What they do brings success, brings profitability. But even if you have the Midas touch, you want to be careful that you do not have an Icarian ambition. This comes from the story of Icarus. If you remember, his father made Icarus and himself wings that were sealed with wax. And then Icarus flew too close to the sun, and the wax melted, and he fell from the sky. So if you have an Icarian ambition, it means that you are too ambitious. You're flying too close to the sun. So if somebody warns you, be careful, that's an Icarian ambition. It means pace yourself. Don't push yourself too fast, too high, or there will be disaster. But of course, you want to become a titan in your industry, a titan in finance, or a titan in manufacturing. The titans were the predecessors to the Greek gods. The Greek gods were the children of the Titans. And they symbolize great strength, powerful influence, massive, huge, hulking beings with vast intelligence as well. So if you're a titan of industry, then you're extremely powerful, a leader of the industry. But even a titan of industry can occasionally fly too close to the sun and have that Icarian effect. But the great ones will always rise from the ashes. And if you're Harry Potter fans, you're probably familiar with this. The books, not so much the ridiculous films, but the books, they talk about the phoenix. Phoenix is born, it grows, and when it dies, it burns up, and then from the ashes rises the next incarnation of that phoenix. So when you rise from the ashes, it means that from that destruction, you are reborn and ready to become a titan of industry again. Okay, so those are just a few of the Greek mythological characters that have come to be phrases in the English language. Compared to the amount there actually is, this list is quite Spartan. Slipped another one in there. Spartan comes from the militaristic branch of the Spartan society.
This is Sparta!
Who lived very frugal lives. So they didn't have a great many ornaments and things in their houses. So when we describe something as Spartan, it means fairly bare, very basic, simple, maybe showing austerity or self-discipline. Spartan. Minimalistic. All right. I hope I haven't gone on too long there. It is my Achilles heel that I want to give you as much information as possible. Achilles, you are aware, I'm sure, of the great warrior. He was blessed with invulnerability. His mother dipped him into the river Styx, which made him impervious to weapons. But she held him by his ankle, and that was the one part of his body not dipped into the Styx, the one part that was vulnerable. And that's how he died. He was shot in the ankle. So your Achilles heel is the one thing that makes you vulnerable. Okay, for Spider-Man, it was Mary Jane. For Superman, it is kryptonite. It is his Achilles heel. For you, maybe it's beer, your Achilles heel, or an inability to say sorry. You know, it's whatever is a flaw in you, or a plan. The Achilles heel of this plan is the fact that you're counting on the Americans not to raise the tariffs. Right. So this is about these words brought into English, and as an English teacher, I am your mentor, which is our last Greek word. Mentor was the guise that Athena took to counsel Odysseus' son. So her mentor guise was this friendly man who counseled Odysseus' son, whose name I won't try to pronounce, and encouraged him to go and find news of his missing father, encouraged him to learn. So that's what mentor has become in our language, somebody who encourages and helps somebody else learn on a personal one-to-one basis. All right. So I hope you've learned something today. I hope this has been interesting for you. There are others, and if there's any that you know that you use or are your favorites for some reason, pop them in the comments, let us know. If there's any of these, or if they're all within your language, again, pop them in the comments. Let us know when the last time you used them was. If you're interested in English lessons, check my contact details in the description below. And don't forget to like the video. And if you want to stay up to date with whatever's coming next, click subscribe. Do, if you know anybody who would be interested in this, click the share button. And do come back next time. Thanks for your attention. Bye-bye now.